That's when it hit. There is a Cuban recipe that Cubans eat, and most dogs in a Cuban household will eat the leftover scraps. Now, when I say Cuban household, I'm not talking about Cuba as in Cuba, because I can tell you what we're about to make, they're gonna eat everything in there. The dog's not gonna get nothing from it. Talk about Cubans that live like in Miami. The dogs are gonna be getting a lot of these scraps that I'm about to talk about. And it's none other than arroz con pollo, chicken and rice. And if you think about it, it actually checks all the boxes, at least the way we're gonna make it. There are gonna be a couple little things we're gonna change around, but check this out. First of all, it's gonna be homemade dog food. Remember I said best dog food, homemade dog food, instant pot dog food, right? This checks all three of them. Think about this. Whenever your dog doesn't want to eat or is recuperating or is even emaciated, what do vets recommend? Chicken and rice. And that's for a variety of reasons. Most dogs cannot resist the taste of chicken and rice. Even when they're sick, they'll take a nibble at it. Also, rice and chicken are relatively cheap. Super cheap, actually. It has almost everything a dog needs to thrive. It has meat, bone marrow, cartilage, tendons for glucosamine, rice as a filler, and a protein regulator. And we'll get into that here in a second. 4, it's easy to make. 5, same food you're making for pups only becomes easier for adults. Now, I said all that to say this. Guys, what you see here is a manual food grinder. We grind bones with it, and a crock pot. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a cup of white rice. We're gonna go ahead and drop it in there. And then we're gonna go ahead and drop 3 cups of water. Next up, we're gonna add a spoonful of organic cold pressed coconut oil. We're now gonna get a quarter of a handful of green beans and throw them in there. We then are gonna add 3 chicken quarters. We're clicking on meat stew and we're running it for 35 minutes. Now this is what it looks like once cooked, but now we have to remove the bones. This is the moment I realized I shouldn't have put the meat on the plate. I should have put it on the cutting board. Now keep in mind, as we're removing the bones, typically people would just throw these bones out. But now that we have the food processor, or the meat grinder if you will, we're gonna go ahead and put these bones through there and make sure we're actually feeding this superfood to our dogs. Now those of you that know about arroz con pollo, you know that the rice is yellow, but instead of yellowing it the other way, we're just gonna add some turmeric and we're just gonna go ahead and mix it in, and that's how it's gonna be getting its yellow color. Now turmeric is a great anti-inflammatory. We're gonna go ahead and add a pinch of cinnamon, and this is mostly to just keep the sugars down. So guys, it's really this easy. All them bones that you're throwing out that you no longer want to eat or whatnot, you can now process it. $50, came out of 56 with taxes. I bought it on Ace Hardware. The bone ever gets stuck, you just go backwards and just keep mushing it. Honestly guys, you know, this is real simple to use in order to be able to mush. This one bone's giving me a hard time, but there you go. There you go. So that's gone in there. That's straight bone. What you're seeing coming out on this end over here, that's dog nutrition gold. Here you go. Put another bone in there. Literally, your grandmother could do this. Honestly, guys. It doesn't really take much effort. More than anything, it's just getting the bone positioned right with the spoon. That's bones your dogs could be consuming. Not just bones, bone marrow as well. So You're not gonna have a calcium issue. You're not gonna have an animal fat issue, any of that. Look. And there you have it. That's that bone and bone marrow. We go ahead and add it, and we also go ahead and mix it. Once mixed, we go ahead and add our multivitamin, which we use, which is NuVet and NuJoint Plus. We'll go ahead and leave a link down below. We just go ahead and add that, and we mix it again. It's really important for us, for our pups to be independent. We make sure we house them 2x2s so they could each have their own little dish. Over here. Hey. Here you go, little girl. Here you go. Come on. One of the things about this recipe is that rice is one of the ingredients. I like to keep my protein at no more than 13% for developmental reasons. That way the pups don't show, certain types of dietary orthopedic issues that really aren't there. Here you go. Here you go. Go. Good girl. Go. You've seen us whip this up. You've also seen us go ahead and serve it. You be the judge of it. Is this something you think the pups really like? If you want more information on nutrition on pups or even how to deworm them, make sure to click on Next Up or check out our playlist.